Here's your wrestling news for January 25th, 2026. Your headlines for today include: real reason WWE pulled the plug on Cody Rhodes vs. Jacob Fatu at Saturday night's main event revealed, Cody Rhodes to lose title shot eligibility after referee attack, full fallout revealed, real reason WWE chose Sami Zayn to win the #1 Contenders Fatal 4-Way revealed, new direction for WWE Women's Division after Ripley, Io Sky, and Vaquer developments, AJ Styles delivers emotional farewell after what could be his final WWE victory, and more. Cody Rhodes entered his match still seething over Jacob Fatu's role in costing him the undisputed WWE Championship, while Fatu carried his own resentment after Rhodes referenced his past arrests during their SmackDown face-to-face. Fatu made it clear then, and again on Saturday, that he isn't like any Samoan Rhodes has faced before. Before the bell could even establish order, Fatu attacked Rhodes during his entrance. The situation quickly spiraled. Referee Charles Robinson was caught in the crossfire, multiple officials and security rushed in, and none of them were able to regain control. The brawl spilled out into the crowd, and then into the arena's backstage concession area, leaving stunned workers watching as both men laid out referees and security alike. Order was only restored when a third force entered the equation. Undisputed WWE Champion Drew McIntyre stormed in and took out both Rhodes and Fatu, sending them crashing down from an elevated position and standing tall over the wreckage. The message was clear: neither man is getting to him easily. McIntyre had already warned Rhodes on SmackDown that there would be no immediate rematch clause, a stipulation he personally negotiated into his contract for the 3 Stages of Hell match. The fallout now shifts to SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, who could fine all 3 wrestlers. Aldis may also levy a heavy fine against Rhodes, or even suspend the former champion to set an example after he laid hands on a referee. A suspension would be particularly damaging, coming just days before the 2026 Royal Rumble, which Rhodes has already declared for. Such a move could push Rhodes in a new direction. A suspension could introduce sharper edges to his character or lead to desperate actions, including an unauthorized Rumble entry to target Fatu, the man he may blame for everything unraveling. Aldis could also remove Rhodes from the Rumble entirely, a move that would effectively shut the door on his most realistic path back to a WrestleMania title shot. From a creative standpoint, WWE's intent is becoming clearer. The decision to halt Rhodes vs. Fatu at Saturday night's main event protected both men from taking a loss. Neither was pinned, neither submitted. Instead, both were elevated. The brawl positioned them as equals, 2 volatile, dangerous stars with similar upside heading into WrestleMania season. McIntyre's involvement adds another layer. His attack, combined with the non-finish, strongly suggests WWE may be building toward a triple threat scenario involving Rhodes, Fatu, and McIntyre. Whether that collision happens at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania 42 remains to be seen. The title picture complicates things further. Sami Zayn, now the confirmed #1 contender, will challenge McIntyre for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. A title change there would drastically alter the WrestleMania landscape, potentially reshaping who enters the main event and under what circumstances. So the road ahead is wide open. Should Sami Zayn win the title at the Royal Rumble and defend it against a fresh opponent at WrestleMania? Or should Drew McIntyre retain and head into WrestleMania 42 against both Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu in a high-stakes triple threat? Which direction works best and why? Sound off in the comments. Sami Zayn earned his biggest opportunity in years on Saturday night's main event, emerging victorious from a high-stakes Fatal 4-Way to become the #1 contender to Drew McIntyre's undisputed WWE Championship. Zayn shared the ring with Randy Orton, Damian Priest, and Trick Williams in a match that was relentless from the opening bell, with momentum shifting constantly and no clear favorite for much of the contest. Despite being the youngest competitor in the match, Trick Williams stood out for his ring awareness, repeatedly looking to capitalize on chaos and steal a pinfall when opportunities presented themselves. While none of his attempts were successful, his performance reinforced why he continues to be viewed as a rising force on the main roster. Just as Priest appeared ready to put the match away, Zayn struck out of nowhere with a perfectly placed haluva kick, halting Priest's momentum and going straight for the cover. Randy Orton made a last-ditch attempt to break it up, but he was a fraction of a second too late. The referee's hand hit the mat for 3, and the Montreal crowd erupted as Zayn officially punched his ticket to the Royal Rumble. With the win, Sami Zayn will challenge Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship next weekend, setting up a massive title clash with major implications for the road to WrestleMania. The match itself was everything it needed to be: fast-paced, spot-heavy, filled with dramatic near falls, and built around sustained crowd engagement. The finish delivered exactly what the audience wanted, a hometown favorite advancing to a marquee title opportunity. After the match though, Drew McIntyre attempted to attack Zayn, but clearly failed. So why did WWE ultimately choose to go with Sami Zayn? There are a few clear reasons. The most straightforward explanation is that Zayn provides a clean heel versus babyface dynamic for the undisputed WWE Championship match. While McIntyre is positioned as the heel, crowd reactions vary depending on location. In parts of the United Kingdom and Europe, McIntyre is often cheered, even against babyface opponents. In Saudi Arabia, however, the crowd response is expected to be leaning towards Zayn. There's also a familiar booking pattern at play. Triple H has shown that while he will sprinkle in the occasional surprise, his long-term storytelling is generally predictable. Major outcomes tend to follow established paths rather than swerve-heavy storytelling. That pattern was evident last year when Jey Uso came up short against Gunther at the same event ahead of the 2025 Royal Rumble. Uso then went on to win the Rumble and ultimately defeat Gunther at WrestleMania. If Triple H is revisiting a formula that has already worked, it could begin with Zayn challenging McIntyre at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, setting the stage for what could be a much bigger payoff down the road. Can Zayn finally overcome the odds and dethrone Drew McIntyre, or is this just another chapter in a familiar story of heartbreak on the biggest stage? Sound off in the comments below. Liv Morgan once again tried to outmaneuver longtime rival Rhea Ripley, this time teaming with Roxanne Perez to challenge Ripley and Io Sky for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Morgan and Perez slowed the pace early and isolated Sky, but Ripley's power shifted momentum before the challengers regrouped with a sharp double-team offense to keep the match evenly contested. In the closing stretch, Ripley dropped Perez with the Riptide, and Sky added her finisher, appearing to seal the win, until Raquel Rodriguez stormed the ring and took out the referee. That interference brought Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer to the ring, notably without the walking boot she has worn in recent weeks. Vaquer and Rodriguez brawled into the crowd, leaving the ring exposed. Back inside, Morgan struck Sky with Oblivion, but Ripley, still the legal competitor, immediately answered with a Riptide to Morgan to retain their titles. The match was strong overall. While there were a few disjointed moments just before the Rodriguez interference, everything surrounding it flowed well. The women were given time, and the division once again delivered, continuing its run as one of WWE's hottest over the past 6 weeks. There's still no confirmation on when Rodriguez vs. Vaquer will take place. What is clear is that Julia and Kiana James are next in line for the Women's Tag Team Championships, though no date has been announced. Over the past several months, WWE has quietly transformed the women's tag team division from a long-standing weakness into a legitimate strength. Stars like Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan have helped elevate the division into must-see television. The challenge now will be maintaining that momentum as WrestleMania season approaches. Looking ahead to WrestleMania 42, multiple top names are being positioned across the women's title landscape. Option 1, WWE is reportedly planning a betrayal angle in which Io Sky turns on Rhea Ripley, leading to a non-title match between the two. Option 2, WWE is reportedly planning for Rhea Ripley to win the Royal Rumble, with Stephanie Vaquer retaining the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez to set up a WrestleMania title match. Meanwhile, Liv Morgan continues to receive consistent megastar reactions, strengthening her case as a Royal Rumble winner and WrestleMania title challenger. And as for established names, PW Insider has previously reported that WWE wants Asuka and Kairi Sane to remain firmly entrenched in the tag team title picture. With Charlotte Flair unlikely to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles, Becky Lynch holding the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and Bianca Belair sidelined, Morgan and Ripley stand out as the clearest frontrunners heading into next week's Royal Rumble, while others remain positioned in key championship lanes. Who do you think should leave WrestleMania 42 as champion? And who should be holding the women's tag team titles? Let us know your picks in the comments. With his career on the line next Saturday at the Royal Rumble, AJ Styles took one more major test on Saturday night's main event, squaring off against longtime rival Shinsuke Nakamura in singles competition. The two veterans leaned heavily into their shared history from the opening bell, mixing in subtle throwbacks and familiar sequences that longtime fans immediately recognized. What followed was a lengthy, hard-fought match defined by steady back-and-forth action, with neither man able to maintain control for long stretches. As the match wore on, Styles shifted his focus to Nakamura's injured left knee, repeatedly targeting it before hanging the leg over the top rope. That opening proved decisive. Styles capitalized with a phenomenal forearm, followed by the Styles Clash to put Nakamura away. The match served its purpose on multiple levels. It reinforced the deep rivalry between the two, showcased Nakamura's storytelling, and positioned Styles with momentum heading into his high-stakes rematch with Gunther at the Royal Rumble. The bout closed with a quiet show of respect between rivals who know each other better than almost anyone else. Styles' presentation added another layer to the moment. During his entrance, he surprised the crowd by wearing a mask, his first time doing so since his New Japan Pro Wrestling days. Commentary quickly noted the significance, with Michael Cole pointing out that Styles hadn't worn a mask since leaving NJPW. The visual was a direct callback to January 2016 when Styles faced Nakamura for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. For fans familiar with his Bullet Club era, the masked entrance was an unmistakable nod to where this rivalry and Styles' global legacy was forged. With Gunther looming and his career officially at stake, Styles' win over Nakamura felt less like a nostalgia act and more like a reminder, when the pressure is highest, the phenomenal one still knows exactly who he is. As a whole, this episode stood out as the strongest Saturday night's main event of WWE's current run, blending strong in-ring performances, effective storytelling, and a fan-driven conclusion that clearly set the table for the Royal Rumble. How would you rate this show? Which match stood out for you, and why? Sound off in the comments below.